This conference will now be recorded.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I want to thank everyone for joining us here today. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Wayne Mitchell, and I'm with the Nacogdoches County Chamber of Commerce. I want you to know that we're recording this call, and members of the media have been invited to participate as well. I'd respectfully ask everyone to put your phones and computers on mute until we're ready for the question and answer section. The Chamber has a wealth of information located at the Chamber's website at www.nacogdoches.org. Please visit the COVID-19 resource page as well. I'm delighted to introduce our speaker today, but before I do, I will tell you that I'm working remotely today, and I may come in and out depending on how strong the signal is. Hopefully you can all hear me well. We've revised the agenda today to permit, to allow a little bit more time for the folks that have been engaged in the emergency response as it relates to the storms last week. And so I want to express my sincere appreciation to our other colleagues for their willingness to allow us to allow Larissa and the city manager to have a little more time today to kind of give us a background. I'm pleased to welcome our first speaker, and it couldn't be any more timely, and that's Matt Brazil. Matt's the engineer for the city of Nacogdoches for the Texas Department of Transportation. As you know, there's many projects going on, not the least of which the I-69-59 interchange and others going on, and I suspect he's been very busy with the issues related to the storms in the last week. So good morning, Matt, and I'll turn the program over to you.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
And
okay, good. Okay.
Yes, we can, Matt.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, we're happy to be past the last week for sure. A lot of hard work, I know, from a lot of people, but especially, you know, our TxDOT maintenance forces. They were working around the clock for a long period of time, but you know, at least for the roadways, I felt like we made it out pretty well. I think everybody, you know, didn't have any incidents or anything like that. So we're pretty happy with how all that turned out. But I guess the original reason I was asked to come on was mostly to talk about the flyover at the south end of Nacogdoches. And then also Jennifer Adams here in a minute. She joined us as well from TxDOT. She's our I-69 coordinator. She was going to give a quick overview also of future I-69 for the whole district, I believe, and then also for Nacogdoches County as well. And so I was going to go over my part and then let Jennifer, you know, talk for a minute too. So I guess as far as the construction project on the south end is going right now, I'm sure everybody has, if you've driven through, you can tell that we've made a lot of good progress out there. We're about to complete, very close to completing phase 1 of the project, which was, if you're heading north at 59 and you look off to the right, you can see a lot of stuff behind the trees going on over there. Well, that's a lot of concrete paving. We've built a section of the bridge. It's going to go over the existing 59. You can see it there to the right and to the left. There's a gap in between that they haven't completed yet. And they're doing a lot of work on the south end of the project there to the right if you're heading north. A lot of earthwork getting ready to, because we're expanding, you know, building frontage roads down there. And so they've been doing that. And a lot of utility work right now. We're, you know, working with the city to replace or relocate water and sewer lines throughout the project. And so that's been a big push in phase 1 as well. That's what's coming up, you know, in the near future. Actually next month, with some of the utility work, we're going to be closing the south entrance, the south part of the intersection with Old Lifkin Road and 59 to and detour and traffic around to Spradley Street. And that'll be coming up on the 15th is the tentative date right now. And so that'll be just to do a water line crossing there. Probably around the summertime, we're going to where the Spradley intersection is with 59, we're going to put in some temporary pavement where that grass is there, north and south of Spradley Street. And we're going to end up shifting traffic, northbound traffic, into that to accommodate the widening and the frontage roads that we're building there to the east of 59. And you'll see some bridge work. It's already started there just north of Spradley, but that's going to continue further to the south where the Spradley overpass is going to be. And then you're going to see a lot of frontage road work occurring there. And then there's going to be some work to the west of the loop that shouldn't really impact traffic right now, but that's going to be part of the phase 2 work. Probably the biggest traffic impacts we're going to have is shifting the northbound traffic, like I said, to that temporary pavement there in the location of Spradley. And then we're going to have to do some traffic shifts to be able to build that gap in the bridge there, sort of where the I guess the Oyo Hotel is now, in that location. And so we're actually having to put a bent or bridge columns in between the northbound and southbound bridges, or lanes, excuse me, and build the bridge overhead. That'll be a lot of night work though, just for the traffic traveling underneath those. So yeah, and then you've probably also seen there to the very south down on the county road that goes to the country club down there. That's a separate project, but it is related to this job where we've built are in the process of building a turnaround for traffic, because whenever this project is built, it's actually being built to interstate standards, which means it's controlled access. You can't access the main lanes from adjoining properties. And so we're building a way for traffic to be able to decelerate, make a U-turn, and then accelerate back into traffic south of the project to head back north if you need to make a U-turn for whatever reason. That's pretty much it. I mean, I don't know. I guess I probably should have given some background to the project for people that haven't really ever heard. I mean, the project in general is we're building a flyover similar to what they have on the north end of Lufkin, where if you're traveling north, there's going to be off ramp if you want to get into town, and you'll be able to exit off. But if you're just heading north on 59, there's going to be an overpass onto over Spradley. You're going to go out behind all those businesses, the hotels and things like that. And then there's going to be a bridge going over where 59 is now and tying back in. And so the large majority of the traffic will not have to go through that red light there at the intersection anymore, which we think is a huge plus. And it's really going to allow the free flow of traffic, in a safer manner. Just for the majority of the traffic is going north and south through town, and so this is really going to facilitate that a lot. And so I mean, that's really the quick overview of what we're doing out there. And I guess I'll pass it on to Jennifer real quick, and then if we have any questions or anything, we can answer those. Jennifer's ready. And while we're waiting on her to hook up, I also, something in the future that we're looking forward to, that we started working on, is it's a few years out from starting, but we're looking at widening 259 from 204 up to the Nacogdoches County line. We're going to be adding a center turn lane and shoulders there. And so that's going to be a really good project that we're, is much needed in the area, and we're excited about. So got that. And then as far as what's under construction also right now, we got a few other smaller projects. We're rehabbing and widening 1275 there outside of the loop right now. And so that's under construction, and we'll be able to wrap that up by the end of the summer probably. So.
Good morning. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so I tried to use my phone. Apologize. I'm working from home. My internet is not the best, and so hope it will hang on for us. Sorry, I had phone computer. If you can hear me, and I think you got maybe about minutes for us, and I can kind of go on and on. We've got the ice corridor in our district, but just real quick, it's kind of an overview. Be familiar, district. So district, we've got 49 miles of 69 corridor. It generally follows 9. So Lufkin District starts down in San Bernardino County. So it follows U9 north up to Shelby County, or kind of around where US 84 out to the Louisiana border. We currently have about 8 miles that meet standards, so we still have 140 miles remaining to complete. 2000 Transport Planning Division in Austin, an IC plan, and in that report, they were saying that we would need $2 billion to complete our 141 miles that's remaining in the district. This is going to be implemented kind of numerous individual going to be of it's quarter adding firms, axle, and then make sure that the line of the roadway is or it could be done as a or two going on, like brought to the ball to bring that to standard. We are utilizing an report aid in identifying and prioritizing projects for development. I have a website available. Give you guys our contact information. You can email me anytime or call, and I can send you links to a website for ICC develop an overview for the Lufkin District as individual develop. Lufkin have 8 projects currently under of 469, about 30.6 miles. We've got our current construction that are $40.
Hey, Jennifer.
Yes.
Hey, you're breaking up real bad. I'm sorry.
Let me try on my phone again.
May I make a suggestion? It looks like Wayne's still with us, but isn't able to speak right now. So Jennifer, you mentioned some emails and maybe some website information. You are welcome to post that in the chat. Our group is used to copying and pasting and taking that information. So anything you would like to type in the chat box, we would love to have that information. It's just really hard to understand this information you're trying to share. Can we move into Q&A with you, Matt?
Yeah, one thing that I'm sure Jennifer was getting to was at least for Nacogdoches, the 259 and 59 intersection there is in the works. It's a long way out, but that is where the 2 roundabouts are there. That is, we're looking, it's very, very preliminary right now, but that is on the radar at least, just to let everybody know that for Nacogdoches. So.
Thank you. Did anyone have any questions for Matt?
I'm sorry, can you hear me on my phone?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll just talk about the US 59, US 259 project that Matt mentioned. We have a consultant on board. They were signed, I believe, in September, and we are currently working with them to do some survey work. So if you see people out there doing survey that's us collecting preliminary information to start our alternatives analysis for that interchange there. I'm shooting for, it's probably going to be in the fall or early next year for us to have some type of likely virtual public meeting so that we can kind of come out and gather feedback from the public on some alternatives that we're going to develop for just various designs for that interchange that will help us kind of move forward with the preferred alternative to start developing the schematic and start our environmental studies. But I will share our information, and typically, sorry, I was trying to share my screen as well. We give presentations, and so I've got some presentations that would kind of help facilitate that conversation. But yeah, for Nacogdoches County, as Matt gave you guys the briefing on NAC South, that was one of the projects that we have going on. And then the next one we have is the US 59-259 interchange, which is currently scheduled for construction to begin in 2029.
Thank you for that update, Jennifer. We appreciate it, and we could hear you. That was a good thing. Thanks again, Matt. Did you have anything else to add?
No, if anybody has any questions about what's going on right now, I'm more than happy to answer.
Well, we appreciate everything you guys are doing. And as Wayne mentioned in the opening, we have a lot of information to share. Please stay on the line to hear from our community partners as well. In fact, I would like to go ahead and move forward with Mario Canizares, our city manager. I saw him earlier on the call. Mario, are you ready to join us now?
Yes. Hi, good morning, everyone. Hi, Kelly. Hope everyone's doing well and thawed out from crazy times we've had last week. I wanted to take the time to just kind of give everyone just a quick recap. There's a lot that happened last week, but just kind of give you some highlights of the things that happened over the last number of days and kind of where things are. And then once I'm done, I'll be happy to answer any questions and then let Larissa then talk through about the recovery efforts. So just kind of give everyone a perspective. On Saturday, the February 13th, Mayor Brophy issued a declaration of disaster based on the incoming storm. Again, to give everyone a perspective, there's 254 counties in the state of Texas, and all 254 counties in the state were under an emergency declaration through the governor's office. Because of the historic nature of the cold weather, ERCOT initiated a number of rolling blackouts throughout the state. We were certainly not spared from that, and as a result, about 26% of the customer base served by Oncor and other electric providers were affected by the rolling blackouts here in this region. And because of just how cold things were, systems began to fail as things ramped up, turned back on, or turned back off, turned back on, turned back off. It just caused all kinds of electronic failures to these systems, and as a result, that's what ended up happening with our water treatment facility over by Lake Nacogdoches. And so as a result, because of those system failures, we were going to be in a position where we're going to lose water capacity very quickly. That facility serves about 70% of our community. And so when those things began to fail and we started losing water pressure and things got warmed up a little bit and things started to thaw out, we experienced several leaks throughout the system. And so as a result, the use of water, people were using water, even though we had requested for people to conserve heavily. People's use of water plus the leaks really caused our systems to be fully depleted. And as a result, we lost water to nearly the entire community. And we issued a boil water notice on that Wednesday, a couple of days later. And as things got better and power was restored, our crews worked basically all night long for a number of days to get those systems up and running and get water pressure back into the system. We started seeing water pressure come into town approximately on Thursday. By Friday, we were doing much better. By certainly Saturday, we had received just about almost 100% water pressure throughout the entire network, which included parts north into Central Heights area. And then by yesterday around noon is when we were able to lift the boil water notice, and so people can go ahead and start consuming water. We still have a number of, at least up to this point, I have not received a report recently from TxDOT Electric Co-op, but as of today on Encore, we have approximately 9 customers, or they have 9 customers that are without power. And or if anyone here on this call or anyone that is within the network of folks on this call, if you are still without power, please do reach out to Encore. It's imperative, and TxDOT, so they're aware, because while they believe they're done, there could be some other issues happening that they're just not aware of. So please do reach out to Encore at the word and text the word OUT out at 66267, or call 1-888-313-4747, or for TxDOT to call 1-800-392-5986. I know we've hit that many a times, but it's imperative that people do that so that they're aware of any further outages. I will tell you, this has been an event that's on the record books. It may go as one of the most costliest natural disasters in our state because of so many things that were affected by the rolling blackouts. And I know the story is not fully told. There will be a lot more to cover in the coming weeks and months as state legislators and the governor's office and others dive deep into the response in regards to the electrical system. So basically everything that we have runs on electricity, and as a result, those things, when they go out, we go out with them. And while we have generator power, it was not in a position to sustain the rolling blackouts that we had, plus the cold temperatures. So in essence, everything failed. I will tell you, if folks who have had leaks in the system, please, if you have those, please report those to the city so that we can, if you have water leaks at the main, at your water meter, we can go and assist you with that. And that is at 559-2900. We did have to suspend trash service last week because it was way too dangerous to be out on the roads with the trash trucks. And so because we had missed a week, we are behind. And so we are running 2 routes this week. And so folks may have a lot of trash, and we're picking it up, and we'll probably come right behind it and picking it up again to catch up from last week's missed service. I will tell you again, I want to take up too much time, but our employees did a yeoman's work when it comes to certainly our first responders, public safety, police and fire, our dispatchers, our public works employees, utilities, working deep into the night in very cold and wet temperatures. We had our rec center open for a shelter along with Civic Center and Godtel. And we had folks from the library, from recreation, from HR working around the clock, also from animal control, animal services, working around the clock to assist people that needed shelter services because they were either way too cold at home or did not have any utilities and needed a place to sleep and to stay warm. I can't tell you how many number of employees and departments pitched in to do their part if they could get in town. We would not have been able to do this without the work of Stephen F. Austin State University, certainly the county, and ISD came through as far as just being available if we needed critical areas such as fuel. The grocery stores were closed. I mean, it was a pretty intense situation that I've never experienced. And I know at least in this area of the region, you all experience hurricanes and those kinds of disasters, but you have other parts of the state that can come in and willing to help because they aren't affected by those storms. But when you affect the entire state and the entire state is literally in gridlock and stuck where they are for 3 to 5 days, there was really no one really could come into the area to assist us. And so we had to go at it all alone. And while we did get some assistance from the state, It was just no one really could help. We did it through with ourselves and worked and collaborated together with the county, school district, SFA, along with the city and our non-governmental agencies such as United Way, the Ministerial Alliance. They really came through to really help us reach out to those that needed assistance and to identify where we could deploy resources to help folks and folks that were the most vulnerable. So I'm just very appreciative that we've been able to get through this. We will be doing a full assessment of this past week to see where our holes were, so that we learn as we go, and that we will definitely come back with a full report to fully understand where our vulnerabilities were, where we can fill those gaps immediately, and where it's going to require additional resources and planning to make sure that if and when we have this again, that we certainly be better prepared. And every disaster, every situation is always different. No disaster is ever the same. And so I'm just very proud of the work of this community and the patience that this community has had over the last number of days, because when you don't have power, you don't have water, and you can't go anywhere, it really puts people in harm's way, and people looked out after each other, and we were just very excited that we did not have major loss of life and injuries as a result of this. So with that, I'd be happy to answer questions. I know I covered it quickly. There's a lot more to it because it was 7 days of just dealing with the emergency and responding to it, and be happy to answer any questions from anyone on the call.
Hey, Mario, this is Gary Lee, Ashcraft. How did we get Alabama Roll Tide into this thing? I thought that was impressive.
Well, Gary Lee, a lot of times these utility companies, they have mutual aid agreements with other utility companies, and so when a state or an area of the region has a disaster or a major issue that just completely exhaust the resources available for that utility, they call on those partners from other parts of the country that aren't affected, and they position themselves way ahead of the storms to come in right behind them. So Oncor, being an investor-owned utility, has those mechanisms in place, and we're able to reach out to those outside partners to come in, and then when Alabama has a problem, Oncor will be there to help them, and so it's a reciprocal type of agreement, and that's how that works.
Thank you, Mario.
You bet.
Mario, this is Donna from Channel 9.
Hi, Donna.
What's the next step as far as getting any kind of reimbursement or for the cities across the state? And will that take more of a legislative move, or is this something that municipalities can handle?
Well, that's a good question, Donna. I think it's too soon to tell if it's going to require legislative action because of the size and sheer size of this disaster. Again, as I said, I could be completely wrong, but as far as a natural disaster, I've never been aware of all 254 counties in the state being engulfed in the same disaster. When it comes to a natural disaster, certainly it's regional areas, but there are certain federal requirements, and I'm not an expert on that, but a lot of it requires documentation and policies that are in place before the storm that had been enacted by the city. And so we have those policies in place, and we'll be working through Chief Keith Kiplinger, Fire Chief Keith Kiplinger, along with our Finance Director Pam Curbo, to make sure all that documentation is put in place, and then we'll be making our required filings and documentation and submittals through FEMA and other agencies to seek reimbursement. It is pretty exhaustive level of detail that we need to provide, and we've done it before, and we'll continue doing that. And then we'll work through those agencies to make sure that we are hopefully reimbursed for the majority of the expenses that are incurred.
Lots of people.
There's been a lot of debate about ERCOT's decision. Do you think municipalities will band together and present their concern about the decision made about the rolling blackouts?
Well, you know, certainly I've seen some articles where there's some mayors of some cities in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that have sent their concerns to the state, to the Public Utility Commission. You know, we're not in a position yet to really get into that discussion. We're still in the recovery efforts. You know, unfortunately for us, because of the storm, we had two storms that came through. Obviously, the winter storm, the first storm that came through with snow, and then the second storm that came through with ice that really caused the damage. You know, we all experienced the blackouts across the state, but other parts of the state didn't have the ice storm that caused all the infrastructure damage. That's what we experienced. So unfortunately, on it right now, it's too soon to tell because we're still on the recovery efforts and on just the sheer damage from the ice and the fallen lines and infrastructure that cause Oncor and DP's Texas to have all the issues they're having. And so I hope to know a little bit better, say in the coming weeks, once we get out of this piece, because this area of the state was affected twice, unlike the rest of the state where it's just affected once.
Did anyone else have any other questions for Mario? And if so, or if not, he did mention Larissa Philpott, our president and CEO of the Nacogdoches Economic Development Corporation. Larissa, would you like to give a report?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I'm going to kind of continue on with what Mario was talking about, just with some status updates and really a lot of information about how to get help. So first, the city council, or the disaster declaration that the city just approved, and the city council will extend hopefully tonight, does waive permit and inspection fees for disaster related repairs. So sorry, your new house that you're building, we can't waive those fees, but for any reconnects or things like that, those permit and inspection fees are waived. The city inspectors are working overtime tonight, and as long as they need to for the next couple days, working late in order to get those inspections done. You can get permits by calling 559-2551 or going online to nactx.us. And I'm not going to read all of these other web addresses. I'm going to put them in the chat box when I'm done. So I'll describe to you what these things do, and then we'll give you the links in the chat box. Crews are out doing damage assessment of city and county facilities right now, and I know NISD has done the same thing. Donna talked a little bit about reimbursement. That's part of that reimbursement, is just figuring out what was damaged. We need the public to help us in that on the private side. We need them to fill out a form. The Texas Division of Emergency Management has created this online form, and I'll put the link in the box, that where you can go and report your damage. Please note, this damage assessment tool is only an information gathering tool, and they tell you that on the screen, but essentially what it is we had so many broken pipes and things like that, a crew driving down your street is never going to know that your house flooded. But so we need you to tell us that information on this site. Next, we were declared a federal disaster area, and so that opens up lots of different resources. Disasterassistance.gov will take you to a questionnaire. I just filled it out. It literally took me less than a minute to fill out. It asks you a series of 12 questions. Once you fill out those 12 questions, it will bring up a list of resources that you may be eligible for. So it kind of sifts through all of the federal resources for you. I heard lots of rumors that you could go online and register for a check for $800. I don't think that that is true. That does not appear to be happening. Really what they're going to show you is, if you are on TANF benefits, like if you're on food stamps or WIC or something like that, and you lost food as a result of this disaster because your power was out, you can apply for funding to replace that food. the federal disaster declaration did also open our small business assistance loans. So there are home and personal property loans, business physical disaster loans, and economic injury disaster loans. So these are low interest, long-term loans. These are for large expenses. So for example, if a tree fell on your house, or if your business was flooded and you're going to have to just completely gut the whole place and start over, that's what these loans are for. And I will give you the link to that as well. And then also, I just wanted to talk about NacWise. That is the city's alert system. A lot of you heard me, and I think maybe Mario did one, and folks, you heard our voices coming through these automated recordings. You can register your phone, you can register for text updates, you can register for email. I'd tell you to do all three, because as we discovered in the last week, communication can be difficult, and you never know which one of those three methods of communication you will have left. And so we send out things like winter storm warnings, telling you that roads are closed, telling you the boil water notice. We told folks when it was time to start boiling your water and when it was time to stop boiling your water. So I'm going to add a link to those as well. And right now we've got about, I think, 27,000 phone numbers registered in there. That's a small part of our population. We really, really need to get those numbers up so we can more efficiently communicate with you guys in times of disaster. And with that, I'd be happy to answer questions, and I'm going to start typing in the chat box.
Thank you, Larissa. I did see where Jessica Sal also gave us some really good information in the chat box, so please check that all out. We're going to go ahead and move forward. Did anybody have an urgent question for Larissa or Mario at this point? We'd like to hear from our representative, Travis Clardy, at this time. I believe Travis is on the call.
Yes, I am. Good morning, Kelly, everybody. Glad everybody's thawed out and doing well. Appreciate all the reports this morning. I'm coming to you audio, a little technical difficulty, so I'm hoping you can hear me okay.
You sound good, Travis.
All right, good. Well, this is as good as it's going to get. It's going to make this very brief. I appreciated Mario's explanation. I was working with him and the county and the other counties I represent through the storm. I'm back in Austin now, and as you can imagine, the focus of our session is now dramatically shifted away from all the things that were very, very important 2 or 3 weeks ago, and now I think for the next at least couple of weeks, we'll lay out the work, and this is going to be an ongoing effort. I know for the rest of the year to deal with the aftermath of the storm. I've gotten a lot of emails and texts from many of you and a lot of constituents really wanting to know what happened and really wanting to hold persons or accountable or companies accountable or whoever's responsible accountable for what happened. And that certainly needs to be part of our effort. We have a meeting Thursday morning at 9. It's a joint hearing of the Energy Committees and State Affairs Committee in the House. The Senate will be having similar hearings. I think we ought to have a joint House and Senate hearing probably, and that will follow perhaps the next week to kind of go over, see what happened. But as you've all have seen, and personally you all know, the dust is still settling. We're still trying to get our arms around the magnitude of the storm itself, and then the aftermath economically and otherwise to our region of the state and to Texas. But what I am most concerned about and interested in doing, and where I want to help focus our attention, is not what happened last week. I am more concerned about what happens in 4 or 5 months when August rolls around and we have excessively high temperatures for an extended period of time, and there's a different but similar strain on our energy market, on our energy capacity. So we've got to look at the baseload energy. Renewables are important. It's good to have a diversified portfolio, but we've got to be able to provide consistent, regular capacity of energy throughout the state in these extreme temperatures, whether cold or hot. So I think we've got a few months to get that right. We've got a few more months after that to get winter right. I think there's some common sense, basic things we can do, which won't break the bank as far as the state's budget concerned. But this is this is going to be this is a very complicated issue, just like the machine, which is the ERCOT electric grid, and it's going to take a while to unwind it and come up and find those choke points, those bottlenecks where the whole system collapsed on us. But I'll be on eggs and issues, I believe it is, Kelly, if that's correct, eggs and issues this Thursday at 9. I'm sorry, this Thursday at 8, and then I think our hearing is going to be at 9 after, so I'll be cutting away. But I'm even hoping before the hearing, when we talk Thursday in a couple of days, I'll have more information, more details we can share, and I'm sure the Senator Nichols will as well. I think we're doing that program together. So please join us for that. But before I go, I do want to commend everybody, our city, our county, our leaders, our volunteers, the Ministerial Alliance. I was in regular communication with all of the above. We did catch a break. One of the lead individuals, persons in Encore, happens to be a proud lumberjack. And I was able to reach out to him, and we were able to get the water treatment plant energized, medical center energized. We had a couple of nursing homes that were out of power for an extended period. We were able to get them powered up, and you know, it was very much a discomfort. But the one thing I think we all ought to take away is a sense of pride in how our community came together, and how we pulled together, and how we weren't waiting for the government to show up and save us. We took care of ourselves, and the reason we did that is because we've gotten to be pretty good at that through the years, and that's just the character of Nacogdoches and the place that we call home, and that was a very uplifting thing. The other thing I think we all need to be mindful of is this could have been a whole lot worse. We really, believe it or not, caught a couple of big breaks, 3, I would say. One, we came dangerously close to the natural gas network throughout the state completely failing, which would have led to further blackouts and loss of power generation. The following day, we came very close to ERCOT actually going to absolutely going cold, just dropping the network, losing it completely, which would have required a cold, a dark start, which is not a matter of flipping a switch. It's a matter of not days, but perhaps weeks of re-energizing the power grid in Texas. And think about that, if we were all still out of power even as we speak. And then finally, we caught a break from the good Lord that the storm we all thought was going to come through and all our trees were frozen and the lines were iced up. It didn't happen the way we thought that it might, and lead to all the complications of further ice damage in our region. So, you know, I think we can, let's take the lessons from this. Let's learn how to be better prepared. I say as an Eagle Scout, let's be prepared. But let's also be thankful for how of the people we live with and that we love around us. And let's also be thankful for those things that didn't happen. So, it's a learning lesson for all of us, and I'm glad to be back in Austin and ready to get to work and dig ourselves out and figure out what happened and what we're going to do to make it right. So there's my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Travis. I'm waiting to see if anybody wants to jump in. Did I hear a question? Well, we appreciate everything you're doing, certainly everything that our city leaders are doing, and we appreciate that information. I did put the eggs and issues event information in the chat box, so if anybody would like to register, we're going to be giving an option to attend that meeting where we'll hear from you and Senator Nichols, either an online presence or you can join us at the Fredonia Hotel and Convention Center. We look forward to that on Thursday morning.
We'll see you Thursday, and I'm sure we'll be there virtually. Thank you, Kelly.
That's great. Thank you. All right, Betty Rousseau with reports from the Office of the Governor is with us. Good morning, Betty.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well. And I want to thank Larissa. She was kind enough to provide a big chunk of my report. So thank you, Larissa. Let's see, one thing I want to add to that is the SBA is, they established a virtual business recovery center to provide personalized assistance to business owners. And they will open a virtual disaster loan outreach center to help homeowners and renters. They will have customer service representatives available to business owners and individuals to answer questions about SBA's disaster loan program. Let's see, you can list, I will add a link to a phone number for that information. That's all I have right now, but I can probably find some more, but I will add that to the chat shortly. Wanted to let you know the Governor's Broadband Committee will start meeting monthly on a regular schedule, and I'll be hearing more information on that soon, and I can provide that hopefully next week. And one more thing, some Governor's Small Business Webinar Series events coming up. March 3rd, there's a webinar updates on the new round of PPP funding. Then on March 10th, business strategy and cash flow management. And on March 31st, an update on federal funding. And it was mentioned, our executive director wants our small business group to try to provide a historically underutilized businesses webinar, a hub webinar soon. So they're working on trying to make that happen. But that's it for me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Betty. We really appreciate those reports. Also, the SBA virtual recovery information is also located on the Chamber site in Chamber News and on our social media sites. Now I see Gary Lee Ashcraft. We heard from him earlier, but I believe he has some important information to share.
Okay, I've been rolling since early morning, and that was a great egg McMuffin. Several of you have asked me what I was eating. What I want to share is specific. Kenny Rena's on the call. She might jump in, but we have established, and I will get busy with it today finally, a disaster relief fund. I believe Keith Kiplinger asked us to do that. And the purpose of the fund is to fund our agencies who are stretched pretty much right now. I'll be talking to all of them today. I've been talking to Love Inc., Patty Goodrum, and a couple of others. It's the same as with other emergencies like this, and we'll eventually get to a point where we allocate funds from that fund totally 100% to these agencies to help them move through this emergency. So that's really all I have. Everything that Mario and Larissa said is important stuff. That's my important thing. Kenny, something to add to that?
Nothing but a people.
Not really. I put in the chat messages the links to contribute to the funds through Facebook or through our website.
Let me tell you, without Kenny Rena, we would not have this fine mechanism. And I thank you, Kenny, publicly for being a fine volunteer and past chair for helping the old guy over here. Appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Thank you both. I don't want to overlook Dr. Scott Gordon with SFA. I'm not sure if he's on the call, but if he is, we would love to hear updates from Stephen F. Austin. And if he's not available.
Hey, Kelly, this is Travis. I know Dr. Gordon is in Austin today testifying in front of the Senate Finance Committee in the appropriations process. So he is on the job today.
Well, I'm glad he's there, and thanks for that information, Travis. I did ask Jessica if I could put her on the spot quickly in case there were any COVID-19 reports she needed to give for us.
Yes, and I'll make it short and sweet. I know we haven't talked about COVID much this past week because it snowed, and we were all pretty busy trying to recover from that. But currently our hospitalization rate is sitting at 13%. We are at that threshold where we did 7 days below 15%, and so businesses can open back up to 75%. Our hospitals are allowed to start back elective surgeries. So that's been good. We fluctuated between about 10 and 13% since that threshold's been met. The city and Memorial Hospital are working together to reschedule a vaccine clinic that, of course, was supposed to be last week. But since everything was completely shut down, we're working on rescheduling those. The way we're doing our vaccine clinics, they are still, the vaccines are distributed through the hospitals with the help of the city and county, with individual doctors scheduling their patients. So we don't have a master list or anything like that, but doctors can sign up for our online portal where they can then receive vaccine allotments, and they can sign up their patients, they contact their patients because they know who's in the most need of those vaccines. And so if there's any doctors that haven't heard about this process, please reach out to us and we can walk you through that setup. Also, we'll be starting a new reporting structure this week. Rather than doing daily COVID numbers on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you'll see a lot more information come out of our offices rather than just doing a daily virus count. So on Tuesdays, we'll still have our 7, 14, and 21-day trend lines. And then on Thursdays, we'll have vaccine allotment information, number of people vaccinated in our community. And then in between there, of course, anything about shot clinics, COVID testing, things like that will be shared through the City of Nacogdoches Facebook page and Nacogdoches County Emergency Management. So that's kind of what we're doing right now.
Well, thank you very much for that. And also, if NISD would like to give a brief report, we have a few minutes for that.
Hey, thank you, Kelly. Good morning, everyone. Our intention is to have in-person classes tomorrow, but we're still evaluating some of our campuses right now. Encore is on site at Emmeline Carpenter, and that's the last school where we're waiting for service to be restored. We've had a number of water leaks across the district in varying degrees of severity, but all of those have been isolated and many have been repaired or in the process of being repaired. We had hoped to know by noon today whether we could open fully tomorrow for in-person instruction. Now it will likely be around 2 p.m. before we make that call. Thank you, Kelly, for letting me on.
Thank you, Les. That was Les Linebarger with NISD. I was trying to give Sherry a heads up, but if Sherry Cheney Morgan would like to give a brief update for tourism and things going on in her area, we have a few minutes.
Oh, great. Thanks, Kelly. I want to say before I forget, because I am prone to do just that, this Friday is the launch of Knack Snack Friday behind the CVB on the stage in partnership with our Main Street partners. There'll be 4 food trucks from 11 to 7 and live music provided by the something with a C, Caballeros. Anyway, it's a local band, good stuff. And 4 different food trucks. So kind of a stretch beyond what we are blessed to have around our city on a normal basis. So should be a great time. Come out for lunch, come out for dinner, but put that on your calendar and please spread the word at your workplaces for that. And in the world of hospitality, believe it or not, we are shattering records in a good way. Industry-wide, all the traveler sentiment surveys now are just blowing through the projected recovery. People are feeling more and more confident because of the success of the vaccines and that whole procedural thing. And so people are feeling better about traveling, and that is always a good news. I did get our hotel occupancy numbers for the month of January last week. And we were still down, but we were into single digits down. So we were down about 9% over January of last year. So yeah, it's pretty good. There are brighter days ahead, better days ahead, and the CVB staff is on call over here welcoming guests that we see and making sure that when things open back up, we're ready for them. Thanks.
Thank you all. I believe Wayne's been able to keep up with all of this, and we want to thank him for keeping up with us while he's out of the office. And I did put the information for the eggs and issues in the chat box for registration. Please check that out Thursday morning at 8 a.m. I also want to mention that Alive After 5 that had to be postponed due to our winter weather last week will be rescheduled. This is hosted by McWilliams & Son Heating and Air Conditioning, and they will host that Alive After 5 on March 18th. So go ahead and put that on your calendar. We are looking at doing the member mixer this week on Thursday evening after business hours at Harley Davidson. That's our local Lumberjack Harley Davidson. So look for more information coming to you on that. There's a great opportunity for folks that still need clean drinking water that the chamber will be able to provide. You may have seen photos on Facebook where Gary Lee, Wayne were working together over the weekend because R&K distributors had canned some water, not canned some beer, but clean drinking water. And we're able to distribute it with a partnership through American Red Cross to areas here in Nacogdoches. The chamber office is expecting a pallet of that water here today. And if you are interested in getting that for your employees or to have at your business, please give us a call here at the chamber and we'll arrange that with you. They also did a wonderful job of distributing several pallets to SFA for students and faculty. I believe that's all of our chamber updates for now, but more will be coming soon. Yes.
Is our Budweiser truck still coming? Do you know? I'm going to try to find out.
The last I heard, the delivery was scheduled for 5 a.m. this morning, and I was not there to take pictures.
Well, that's okay. I told my students this morning they thought I was talking about beer, so they'll all show up. This water kid, so that's what we got. Awesome.
Yeah, when you pop the beer can, you might be a little disappointed if you were, thinking it was going to be a good old swig of Bud. But R&K will still be supplying plenty of that in a store near you. Thank you guys all for calling. I believe we're coming up, or joining the call. We're coming up on the end of our hour. Again, I want to say thank you to our conference call sponsor that we have now, Austin Bank. So when you see Francis Sproul, say thank you for making these calls possible. We appreciate them. We wish you all a great day and a good week ahead, and let's all enjoy this beautiful sunshine.